straight out of the horse's mouth. People like Pike and a lot of his writings regarding Masonic teachings and world affairs and stuff he has written to other you know world leaders during his time. So I kind of brought that up. Oh, and police. I talked about police
Oh,
too.
you talked about the police. Right. Who knows what they are? They're not obligated to protect the citizens of the United States, right? They're not
Yeah,
obligated.
I've heard about that. Yeah, I've seen that. I've heard stories actually like that. There was this guy over in New York City, and he was on a subway, and there was this loony guy walking about, and he had a knife. So what this dude did is he played hero and intervened in this guy, and he stabbed him in the head like twice in the abdomen, one in the back. But he got the guy, he apprehended him, but while he's bleeding everywhere. Come to find out, like on the other side of the subway, you know how they have the doors, there was two police officers waiting for this situation to de-escalate. Then they intervened, so they didn't even come in and help out at all. It's very, it's a cold situation, but I was talking about that last night actually. What's really interesting though is if you go to a police precinct or like headquarters or whatever you call them where you're from, um you go into the station and you come to find out there's a lot of officers who are affiliated with the Masonic lodges or some kind of group like that. They even have one formed called the Fraternal Order of Police, which is a Masonic brotherhood relating to police officers who are affiliated with the craft. Um, and what's the double standard to that is that both the lodge and when you become a police officer, you take sworn oaths. And I don't know if you ever heard of the oath of silent. You ever see the symbolism when the Mason does this, shh, that's the oath of silence. So if they ever reveal the inner knowledge, the secret knowledge within the lodge, that they have sworn not to reveal to the masses, the uninitiated, they would be put to death by sword. There's videos out there that are how would you say reacted reenactments by Masons and the Master Mason doing this oath. Um, but what there's a double standard to that because you have police officers who are sworn to protect and serve and value the American way, and then you have also simultaneously that same officer in the Masonic Lodge doing sworn oaths, but the one being the oath of silence. So who do they have loyalty to, the lodge or their country? How does that work? And it's then like when people say they can't trust the police. Well, this is a great situation why you can't trust the police. How do I know if I can trust you when you're doing stuff like that? It's very, I don't even have a word to say for it, but like, what would be a good way to phrase it? Questionable.
Yeah,
Yeah.
questionable. I do not want to be able to call upon them for anything. The last time I did, Jay, I woke up, it was a Sabbath, and I was looking forward to my Sabbath. I did my prep day. I was ready to hang out, read scripture, eat some good food, do my thing on Sabbath. And I look out the front door, and my truck, which is an old jalopy, old Ford Taurus truck, it's rusted out, and it's halfway in the neighbor's yard. It's halfway in my driveway, halfway in the neighbor's yard. So I'm like, and I saw tire marks coming into my driveway. So, and the dent in the side, I call the cops. What else am I going to do? It's insurance, whatever. And he pulls up and in one of those hot, what was it, 2019? I think it was 2020.
Charger.
Yeah. Really nice, and I'm paying for it, and it comes, I can't do anything about it. It happened on your private property. No report? No nothing? I mean, no.
That's crazy.
Can't do anything about it. So, digging into the laws, I find out I can't have chickens in my backyard. I'm not even supposed to have the garden back there, I don't think, because of city ordinances. And they'll come over and cite you for that, right? And we've had a couple of, and there is incidents of violence happening in my town. I don't know if they're taking care of it. but I do know we're paying for really nice, fast cars and, fancy houses. But what are they doing? I
Oh,
mean,
we're
they're,
paying for more than just that. Police are training with what you said earlier, Blackwater, the militarization of the police force. That's why, you see them with, what looks like would be for use for a war on civilians who, would,
well,
how'd you say, during these protests and everything.
with the secret societies and these Freemasons infiltrating firehouses, police stations, sheriff departments, judicial systems, all the way up to politicians writing laws, and now the people are being oppressed. It just seems like this agenda of lawlessness. We see politicians breaking laws left and right, but they get out of it because it's politics, right? It's an injustice. They broke the law. Nobody gets arrested. Where's the police at? Where is the military at? Where's the law-abiding of citizens when it comes to these people? But for you and me, we're not Paul Pelosi, right? We don't crash into two cars and get a DUI and get our hands slapped and a fine. What we get is slammed in jail and extensive court dates and money, and it's just crazy. It's just one law for them and one for us, and that is the end goal, is to suppress the people. What do you think?
Oh no, I absolutely agree. I want to go back to what you just mentioned right now, lawlessness. I talked about that last night. I wrote a Twitter post about it.
Cool.
So I got it right here. I wrote, esoteric occult teachings are embedded in political systems. Ordo ab chaos, or order out of chaos, has been one key tactic used on the masses, introducing the problems to bring them power. The law of the jungle, or the order of the barbarian, which would be what you mentioned as lawlessness. This is done on the poor masses. For example, street hoodlums, street gangs, poor situations. You got people resulting to theft and robbery in order, to support their lifestyle. And necessarily that would be what the order of the barbarian, the law of the jungle is, savagery, introducing the savage way of living in the jungle unto what they would deem as civilization or civilians, or being civil, air quoting it. But then I went to I don't know if I'm sure, well, I shouldn't say you don't know, but you're far in this better than me, like, so about a quote from George H.W. Bush, his dad, regarding the New World Order. He says, "We have before us the opportunity to forge for ourselves and for our future generations a new world order, a world a world where the rule of law, not the law of the jungle, governs the conduct of nations. And when we are successful, and we will be, we have a real chance at this new world order, an order in which a credible United Nations can use its peacekeeping role to fulfill the promise and vision of the UN's founders." So going back to where he says the generations of a new world order, the new world order's code of ethics, he legitimately summarizes it right here in a single sentence. A world where the rule of law, that's them, enforcing the rule of law, which would be what, they conduct themselves with, and says not the law of the jungle. So that's what, they're introducing, but trying to suppress. And in that kind of situation right there, that would be one key tactic. When you say order out of chaos, they're conducting themselves with the rule of law. They're conducting themselves by enforcing the rule of law unto what they purposely set up with the law of the jungle, the savagery of the poor people, and suppress that, from that being the chaos, and then the rule of law being the order, necessarily like that. I don't know if you can see it like that, but that's how I see it.
Yeah, I was about ready to cue up that speech, but you did it justice. I don't want to hear George's voice anyways. Yeah, and his son did the same thing. Clinton did, Obama. Henry Kissinger, the guy that they put in charge of the 9/11 Commission report, which you can't make this stuff up. Henry Kissinger is about as big as Jesuit, Freemason, secret society, Illuminatist, crazy that you can get. He's not patriotic at all. He has an agenda, and it's the New World Order's agenda. What he said about Obama in the New World Order. Have you heard this? This is crazy. Are you ready? You want to listen to this one? I'm just going to cue this one up. See what you think of this.
Okay. Aaron and I are standing here on the floor now with former Secretary of State Henry Kissinger, who was here ringing the bell, commemorating 30 years of U.S.-China relations, which, of course, were made possible by the hard work that Secretary Kissinger did while serving under President Nixon. We welcome you, sir. Thank you very much for being with us.
To be here.
The obvious first question is the situation in Gaza. It's an area of the world you have worked very hard on. What is your view? How serious is this?
We have to remember, Israel withdrew from Gaza unconditionally in 2005. And they are reacting to rocket attacks that have been launched out of Gaza. So the problem is, can those rocket attacks be stopped? And then they will have to stop their military operation. It's a complicated situation, but it's one that I believe will be solved, because if peace is to evolve in the Middle East, Israel has to take its responsibilities, but the moderate Arab nations have to take responsibilities for the conduct of Israel's neighbors.
Do you believe that this is, some people say that everything will stop a few days before the Obama inauguration, that this is all very politically motivated?
Here it comes.
Do you think that's true?
I think it's a continuing process. The fundamental problem is, can Gaza conduct itself in a way that it is not a military threat to Israel? Then there will have to be a negotiation eventually, and soon, between Israel and the Palestinians about an overall peace settlement.
What do you think the most important thing is for Barack Obama? Obviously, you're here to talk about the anniversary for U.S.-China diplomatic relations, but if you had to say this is going to be the country or the conflict or the place that will define the Obama administration, what would it be?
The president-elect is coming into office at a moment when there are upheavals in many parts of the world simultaneously. You have India, Pakistan, you have the jihadist movement. So he can't really say there is one problem that is the most important one. But he can give a new impetus to American foreign policy, partly because the reception of him is so extraordinary around the world. I think his task will be to develop an overall strategy for America in this period when really a new world order can be created. It's a great opportunity. It isn't just a crisis.
Are you confident about the people President-elect Obama has?
There's so many more videos like this of the New World Order being talked about, but subliminally almost, as we're all one. It's a Star Trek world. It's a Gene Roddenberry, everybody's unique and everybody's the same and everybody has the same, and it's a wonderful world. And that's what they keep propping up when they bring up the New World Order, like it's a wonderful thing. And you and I both know it's not.
Right,
and the tactics that they use are so evil and nefarious, and how they pull them off. Like the millions of people that they've at all. And the millions that are is all for this New World Order. Control, cause the fear, cause the anxiety, cause the issue, and then come in and force the remedy down people's throats, which is, we want control over you in every aspect of your life. It's crazy, but it's the truth.